Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Are you ready for the most anticipated trades of 2024? We've covered the big names, but part 3 dives into the game changers that could shake up the league. From surprising underdogs to seasoned veterans, these are the players who could turn the tide for any team. Who's on the trade block? Who's the dark horse candidate? Find out now and get ahead of the game. Category 7. Reasonably priced role players. The following role players could fit into most teams' cap sheets. Number 1. DorianFinney-Smith of Brooklyn Nets. Finney-Smith, like Johnson, works as a trade candidate regardless of what direction the Nets take. Teams trading them a star would want him, just as the Nets did when they dealt Kyrie Irving to Dallas. But winners would also seek him out in an individual trade, and his relatively affordable salary widens the field of possible contenders. He definitely veers more towards the D end of the 3 and D spectrum, but he can fit in just about anywhere. Number 2. Jordan Clarkson of Utah Jazz. Need a bucket? Clarkson can get you one or several, and he can do so at an affordable price since the Jazz had the foresight to renegotiate and extend him last offseason in a way that allowed them to front-load his deal. He made $23 million last season, but will fall to $14 million this season. No. 3. Bobby Portis of Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks probably aren't eager to move Portis, especially since he just closed the season with a strong playoff series against the Pacers, but their hands are tied. They have very little in the way of draft capital or young players, and they absolutely need to add perimeter defense. Portis is the most valuable player they can offer without breaking up their core. No. 4. Robert Williams III of Portland Trail Blazers. When healthy, Williams has been a real Defensive Player of the Year candidate. It's just that, when healthy, is becoming a rarer and rarer phenomenon lately. He played only 6 games last season due to a knee injury, and he has never played more than 61 in a season. He's also a bit overpaid to be a backup center, so if someone thinks they can keep him on the court, they'd likely be trading for him as a cheaper starter. No. 5. Dennis Schroeder of Brooklyn Nets. Bench bucket types can rarely defend at a high level, but Schroeder is a downright pest when he's locked in. His inconsistent shooting is a bit of a problem, and he's never been entirely comfortable coexisting with big men in pick and roll, but he's a capable point guard that has competed for 6th Man of the Year and started for decent teams. Number 6. Alex Caruso of Chicago Bulls. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the most desirable role player of the 2024 offseason. Caruso has been arguably the NBA's best defensive guard for years. He's grown into a significantly more reliable shooter in Chicago. He's a stellar cutter and connective passer. Oh, and he makes less than $10 million. Basically, any team could fit him onto their balance sheet, and as such, he's been widely targeted since practically the moment he landed in Chicago. There's no good reason for a Bulls team that never makes it beyond the play-in stage to hoard a premium role player like this, but with just 1 year left on his contract, and a CBA that will make extending him for fair value impossible, now seems like the right time for him to move. Number 7. Jevon Carter of Chicago Bulls. If you can't afford Caruso, Carter is the budget mode. He can defend above his size, pound ball handlers, and hit threes at a relatively low volume. If you have ball handlers elsewhere and just need a role player, Carter is an affordable option that fell out of favor in Chicago last season. Nar. 8. John Konchar of Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are facing a bit of a roster and minutes crunch next season, with a number of players coming back from injuries, and others, like Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson, emerging as viable supporting pieces during last year's lost season. If they want to add a meaningful piece or two this offseason, they'll probably be open to moving off one of their older role players. Konchar, a jack of all trades, master of none type, would seemingly have plenty of interest on a contract that will pay him roughly $6 million annually for the next 3 years. Category 8. Possibly gettable for the right price. The following players would likely only be available for more than conventional wisdom suggests they are worth. Number 9. Anferneesimons of Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers have 3 guards for 2 starting spots. Number 2 overall pick. Scoot Henderson had an up-and-down rookie year, but he's not going anywhere, and Shaedon Sharpe has shown signs of stardom in his first 2 seasons. That leaves Simons, an odd trade candidate that doesn't quite have star upside, but could easily slot in as a good team's secondary scorer. Portland isn't eager to move him, but it's typically better to get ahead of a necessary move than to let the situation fester. If Portland knows Henderson and Sharpe are the future, it's worth hearing out offers now. No. 10. Colin Sexton of Utah Jazz. Sexton thrived as a starter when Utah was actually trying to win, but he still heard his name plenty around the trade deadline. With Keyonte George primed to take over as Utah's primary offensive guard, Sexton could still fit in a smaller role, but he's too valuable to be traded just for the sake of trading him. The Jazz will need a worthwhile offer to consider it. No. 11. Naz Reid of Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota emphatically should not trade Reid. If they need to save money, moving Towns and paying Reid 30% of his salary to produce 80% as much makes far more sense. But big men that can shoot like him, without killing a defense, are such rarities that there are going to be several cap space teams that call up the Timberwolves and ask some version of, how many draft picks would it take for you to send Reid into our cap space? It's going to be tempting given how much such a trade could save Minnesota, so Reid makes the list even though, again, he should not be dealt. We've explored the potential game changers and surprising moves that could shape the upcoming season. Which trade do you think will have the biggest impact? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share your thoughts and predictions in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the latest trade news and basketball insights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.